Hi, Mystery Resurfaced here today. I am going to explain a British psychological thriller film called Exam. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Toward the start of the movie, 8 applicants are shown getting ready for a recruiting test for a beneficial corporate job. Some applicants motivate themselves with empowering words, while some add a couple of final touch-ups to their appearances before moving to the test hall. The place is faintly lit with work areas for each applicant kept consistently all through the room. It additionally has cameras to screen their movements. After 8 of them are situated, a guard with a gun enters the room, noticeably making the applicants anxious. He is followed by a man who doesn't let them know his name and just presents himself as the invigilator. He then apologizes to them for the difficulties they've been through to arrive at this room, uncovering that the applicants have passed all the past recruiting processes and are the finalists. Assuming they finish this last test, they will get the job of their dreams. As the rule of this test, the invigilator asserts that no government regulation applies inside the test room. The applicants should adhere to just the law of the test. They're not permitted to speak with the guard or the invigilator. Essentially, in the event that they ruin the paper deliberately or unintentionally, and assuming they leave the space under any circumstance, they will be disqualified. The applicants will have 80 minutes to finish the test. There is just a single question on the paper before them that they need to answer. The invigilator then asks them, assuming they have any inquiries. When nobody replies, he wishes them luck, starts the clock and leaves. The applicants turn their separate papers around and see that it is totally blank. Every one of them check each other in disarray out. As time passes, they become more anxious. Hence competitor number 2 starts writing on her paper why she thinks she is qualified for the job. The camera in the room zooms into her paper and the guard is told to toss her out because she has spoiled her paper. Number 2 pleads for a chance as the guard locks the door on her. A while later, number 5 understands that the rule says they can't talk with the invigilator and the guard, and that implies they can talk with one another. He tells the others exactly the same thing, causing them to accept that they should cooperate to find what the question is before they can respond to it. The group examines multiple ways they can finish the test. However, every one of them are similarly as confused, as this is very much like genuine tests. All through this, competitor number 1 doesn't talk by any means. One man attempts to present himself. However, number 5 proposes they give each other pet names so they wouldn't need to uncover their actual identity. He proceeds to name applicant number 1 deaf since he hasn't spoken at this point. Then the guys are named brown, black and white as per their race, while the girls are named blonde, brunette and dark as per their hair tone. After that, White recommends they get up from their seats since there is no rule that says they can't. He takes a risk and gets up. To everybody's pleasure, the guard stays put, implying that they can move around freely. Brunette believes that the questions are recorded on paper with undetectable ink or a watermark. They all consent to test the theory, however doesn't have the idea how to. Brunette gets up and uses the lights in the space to check whether something is written on the paper. However, nothing is noticeable. She still asks everybody check their own because that the question could be in only one of them. Everybody does, as she says, except for Deaf, who remains discreetly in his seat. White takes his paper and checks it in the light when they come by no outcomes. Black recommends the writings may be apparent in UV rays or X-rays. The group then begins searching for a switchboard to check whether there is any choice to turn on different sorts of lights. When they don't view as one, they begin to search for the source of such light themselves. Deaf doesn't help them at all and apprehensively remains in his seat. Blonde sees strips of crisis lights in the room, yet since there are no switches, the group needs to break the wide range of various lights to make a crisis, hence trigger the lights. Brown fights back, saying that they can't face such a challenge, so they vote regarding this situation and in the end choose to go forward with the idea. After breaking every one of the lights in the room, out of nowhere, it glows blue as a result of the crisis block light. Everybody begins to search for the question in the paper aside from Def. However, they are frustrated again because they can't see the question. Brunette requests that everybody remove the main layer of the strip lights since they aren't lit. This could lead to UV rays, which can help them. They utilize the lady's heels to break the strips and uncover one more type of light. However, they are again met with frustration because these lights don't work either. Presently, the group just has an hour left. A disappointed White requests that everybody consider options as they conceptualize thoughts. White registers that they can use number 2 paper since she is as of now excluded, so they assemble around her work area and have a go at following the paper with a pencil. Still no questions appears. White then tears her paper into pieces so they can utilize them to explore different methods regarding various strategies. Then, he pees on one of the papers to check whether it is a fluid actuated. However, that doesn't work either. Black and White get into a warmed contention while examining what they ought to do straight away. But, they stop in the wake of hearing Def cry. He wailed quietly in his seat while the others watch him in entertainment. Later, the man begins to blabber in French. He inquires as to whether they can see something in the paper and claims that the paper mirrors their image. They don't ponder his blabbering and get once again into talking about thoughts. Everybody falls dead quiet when Brown talks. He proposes his very own theory, asserting that they are not in a test, but, or in some sort of betting show. The board members from the organization have put down bets on who will break under tension. Also, the sole motivation behind them being there is for their amusement. Brunette thinks that the board members likely have better activities with their time. Yet, as per Brown, cash is not really important with how much cash they have in their life. The board members presumably live for the risks. Presently everybody approaches with their own thoughts. Some claims that the invigilator may be behind this, while others say it very well may be the CEO. They start to break under tension and affront one another. Dark with certainty expresses that there are no people watching them because the CEO is hands-on in the organization. He has the organization's privileges in general and control over everybody. Obviously she knows more about the organization than any other individual. Brown asks her how she knows so much about the CEO. Incidentally, Dark was previously working for the organization in HR, yet has never seen the CEO. She went after a higher position and presently she is here. White then uncovers that he was scouted and offered the employment opportunity. However, the others say that they applied for it. However, one thing they share for all intents and purpose is that they know nothing about the organization. For sure it does, on the grounds that they were told not to ask any questions. Dark then makes sense of that they're applying for a popular extravagant drug organization called Barag a couple of years prior, when a pandemic spread among youngsters of the world. They were the first ones to track down the cure. Presently, their yearly turnover is $20 billion on in view of their CEO. Out of nowhere, Black proposes that the organization could have tracked down a cure to the newly destructive sickness that has been killing huge number of people all over the planet. Brunette abruptly captivated and asks Dark more about it. This makes White dubious, so he inquires Brunette to whether she is also tainted by the infection. Brunette says she isn't and excuses the matter to remove the focus from herself. She moves toward the guard and gets a lighter from his pocket without talking with him. Then, she looks at the fire alarm. The group intends to utilize the lighter to set off the sprinkler, since water might possibly foster the writing on the paper. For this, Brunette gets on top of a seat. However, doesn't arrive at the fire alarm. White aids her by surrendering her a rolled paper that she lights up and uses to set off the alarm before long water begins showering. However, the paper stays similar. Abruptly the guard advances toward the group. Right then, Brunette unfurls the paper in her grasp and uncovers it to be her own. White had sold out her to loosen the test. The guard hauls Brunette away as she calls White a knave. Following that, an irritated Black says he will punch White's lights out. This makes the lights go out, and the group figures they are voice activated. They ask each other to be cautious with what they say. When Death begins to cry once more, White marginally sits before him and menaces the unfortunate person into tearing his own paper and eating it. The guard approaches Death and sends him away. Also presently just 5 of the competitors are left. Black puts down White for being a dreadful person. However, White demands they ought to thank him for getting their rivals out. He additionally asserts that he knows what the question is, yet won't tell the others. In that frame of mind of fury, Black knock him out. With a solitary punch, the group then attaches him to a seat and covers his mouth with a tie. Sometime later, White gains consciousness. Dark eliminates his gag, and he requests his prescription, saying that he is also tainted with the infection and needs to take medication consistently for him to live. Black looks for pills in his pocket, but doesn't see as one. This causes the group to accept that White is simply rationalizing, so they will free him. Nonetheless, White claims that one of them has taken the pill and vows to let them know the question, assuming that they give it back soon. Once more he passes out and begins to shake. Some accept he is faking, but Black says he is having a seizure in light of the infection. They begin searching for the pill he was discussing, but can't find it. In that frame of mind with just 15 minutes left on the clock, they check each other for the pill. Dark suspects Brown for taking it, and is legitimized when she finds the pill adhered to some chewing gum under his table. She attempts to feed it to White, however Brown tosses it into a vent as the others attempted to get it out. A stressed on Dark goes before the camera and requests that the invigilator save the man, but since she talked with the invigilator, she is quickly excluded after she is gone. Blonde carries the pill out with a bobby pin and saves White's life. She also unties him in the process after he recuperates. Everybody asks him for the answer he guaranteed. White uncovers that the answers are the actual competitors. They have been looking for the question all this time, but White thinks that there is no answer, and the person who is left toward the end is the answer. Most of them trust him, yet before they can act, White hurries to get the firearm from the guard. Black shoves him to the side and gains the weapon himself. He aims it at White, who without hesitation asserts that he won't shoot anybody. All the while he goes after Black and gets the weapon. However, when he is going to utilize it, he understands the weapon has unique finger impression activation. So White purposes the guard and aims the firearm at the others. He warns everybody to escape the room all alone so he can win the test. Brown doesn't fight back with the feeling dread toward being shot, and intentionally leaves. A terrified Blonde gradually strolls outside, but screams, lights out toward the end. The room goes pitch dark, making White shoot in irregular headings when the lights return. Black falls and limp on the floor with a shot opening in his chest. White glances around, sees Blonde actually has a foot inside the room. He is going to shoot her also, but sees that the clock has halted. Now White strolls to the camera and tells the invigilator that he is the winner of the test. The guard approaches him and shows him the time. White is in shock to see they actually have 20 seconds left, implying that he is excluded for talking with the invigilator. It is then uncovered that Death had changed the time while they were caught up with talking about different things. Finally, the final applicant left is Blonde. She strolls into the room and gets Death glasses that had fallen while he was being taken out. Utilizing those, she takes a look at the paper and sees question 1 written on it. To her most extreme amazement, Death enters into the room, uncovering that he is the CEO of the organization and was in the test to watch out for everybody. Blonde approaches him and says no. The CEO and the invigilator smiles. Seeing that she has sorted out the question and breezed through the test, it turns out when the invigilator asked them, assuming they had any questions toward the start of the test. It was the main question they needed to address. The entire test was set to test the applicant's knowledge and also mindfulness. They recruit Blonde as the CEO's secretary. However, she doesn't acknowledge the job since she would rather not work with an association that kills people. The invigilator uncovers that Black isn't exactly dead, and that the bullet he got hit with is a capsule that recuperates the injury after infiltrating the body. It is really the magical medication they have as of late fabricated, which can cure any illness on the planet. Finally, Blonde acknowledges the work and the film closes as she warmly greets the CEO. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching it.